have a bigger kind of the facilities you want to construct, then you can save some unit cost of the treatment of the, or disposal of waste. This is one of the illustration shown in the Indian government document, guidance note, municipal solid waste management on regional basis. It shows that the land area is increasing, then the height above the ground increased, and airspace for landfilling increased. So uh, I mean, if the how say the one of the lengths become 5 times, then the area becomes 25 times, and the airspace how say expand to the 67 times. So then you can save some construction cost. I would say the unit construction cost of waste volume. And there are some kind of the data which show how to say this is the total capacity of the landfill site, and this is the vertical axis show the cost of the unit cost of the landfill construction. So if you can construct a larger landfill site, you can save the unit cost of the construction. And this is another case in ASEAN countries. Some incineration plant. You can save some cost if the treatment capacity become bigger. So there are some merits of regional waste management, which were kind of the result of a survey to municipalities in Japan in 1970s. And by intermunicipal cooperation, it becomes feasible invest in a larger advanced facility for waste management. Otherwise, each municipality may not be able to invest in environmental sound facilities. To achieve environmental sound management of waste, uh, it's better to have a kind of bigger kind of facilities. And it was 1960s and 1970s, Japan expand their waste management service to rural area. So the beginning of the waste management in Japan was 1900. The Cleaning Act was enacted at that time under pandemic of plague, and the area where municipality should conduct waste management was only cities. So only cities were required to have waste collection and disposal services. In 1954, Japan revised the law, and in addition to cities, a governor of prefecture can require specify some municipalities to conduct the waste management services. In 1961, in terms of population, share of designated area which got waste management services was 56.3%. But in this 56%, 18.3% of them did not receive waste collection services. So the household should dispose their waste by their own. But in 1970, the Japanese government revised the act on the waste management, and all municipalities should have waste management services. So they changed regulation. And many cities and towns, villages formulated partial affairs association to treat and dispose waste. I mean, it's a kind of intermunicipal cooperation scheme in Japan. So the number of established partial affairs association concerning waste management increased from 1960s, and the peak was around 1970, 1970, 1971, and 1972. So in this peak, more than 50 partial affairs associations were established in these years. So the intermunicipal cooperation or regional waste management scheme was kind of the scheme to expand waste collection services to small cities and rural area in this period. So this is a case in Chiba Prefecture. It's next to Tokyo. Chiba is east of Tokyo. This is the Tokyo Bay, and these how say Bay Area, Tokyo near the Tokyo Bay. They are kind of industrial area, but this eastern part of the Chiba Prefecture, facing the Pacific. Uh, kind of rural area. And from since 1965, number of association with waste treatment and disposal facility increased in these areas. So among them, 10 number of 10 partial affairs association is consisted of cities and towns, and the number of partial affairs association consisting of town and villages, 5. So rural area is how say the waste management service is covered through these kind of intermunicipal cooperation in Japan. So there are some types of the regional waste management scheme or intermunicipal cooperation. Uh, the one is regional governance take a lead. I mean, provinces or in Japan prefecture, they lead the kind of development of facilities. And, and the next one is leading municipality scheme. I mean, the big cities jointly treat the waste generated from surrounding area. So the leading city contract made a contract with towns and villages and accept some waste. And municipalities association scheme, it's a partial affairs association in Japan, and local governments formulate association treat and or dispose waste jointly. And in some countries, private sector leading scheme can be also observed. Some private landfills accepting ashes from waste to energy plants in Japan, and also some private landfills and RDF plants, diffuse derived fuel plants in Thailand, which is private companies how say receives some waste from multiple kind of municipalities. There are some example from Japan and also India and in Indonesia also. For example, in Indonesia, West Java government is in the process to develop waste to energy plant near Bandung. And the provincial government of West Java is going to have a contract with private companies, while provincial government also contract with Bandung city and surrounding municipalities on receiving waste from these municipalities. So the Bandung cities has a kind of a good capacity to handle the waste. So, but with Java government, in this case, the kind of the regional waste management scheme. So to formulate intermunicipal cooperation, central government should consider some policy to support formulating intermunicipal cooperation in the field of waste management. Uh, the first one is legal status should be considered, and second, financial incentive to formulate intermunicipal cooperation should be provided. Uh, there are some challenges to maintain intermunicipal cooperation, such as the change of the political leaders and the cost sharing mechanism. You need a kind of a negotiation among local municipalities. And there are also some disadvantages of regional waste management or intermunicipal cooperation. The one is it is important to ensure the protect the environment. I mean, to you should have a good pollution control from the facilities, landfill site or waste to energy or other facilities. Otherwise, neighbors oppose the construction of such waste. So you should avoid kind of NIMBY problems, not in by backyard issues. To do that, you should have a good pollution control. Yeah, that is, yeah, you should have a good pollution control. And Kitakyushu City, the city accepts some waste from other municipalities. They have some conditions. The one is the volume of waste from other municipalities not so much, comparing remaining capacity of waste treatment in Kitakyushu City. And use transfer station and the bigger trucks to reduce number of trips, and waste reduction and recycling program, which is the same level of the Kitakyushu City. So these are kind of the condition which was required by Kitakyushu City to other municipalities. And the another demerit is transportation cost. You should collect the waste in bigger area, then transportation cost will increase. So to reduce the transportation cost, transfer station can be used. So segregate some waste, recyclables are segregated, or by compressing the water content should be reduced, and so on. So then you can reduce the transportation cost. So there are some such kind of a transfer station in China, in Japan, or some other countries. Okay, so ERIA had a joint project with ID Jetro last year, and we published this report recently, Regional Waste Management, Intermunicipal Cooperation, Public and Private Partnership. The report can be downloadable from the ERIA website. So if you want to know much more about the experiences in Japan and some other countries, including Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia, please check this report also. So to do this is a conclusion. To reduce leakage of plastic waste to the ocean, it is necessary to expand waste management services not only in mega cities but also rural area and small medium cities. Uh, and to achieve environmentally sound management of municipal solid waste, local governments should conduct proper treatment and disposal of waste. Technology such as waste to energy plant and sanitary landfill is often too costly for small municipalities. Intermunicipal cooperation may be able to save some cost because of economies of scale in some waste management facilities, such as landfill and the waste to energy plant. A few countries in Asia, such as Japan, India, Indonesia, Thailand, have initiative to formulate intermunicipal cooperation. But most of Asian countries have limited experiences and legal arrangement to conduct limited legal arrangement to conduct regional waste management. It may be good to share experiences within the region. So that is my conclusion. Uh, yeah, I will post the PDF file to the chat of the Zoom later. Okay, that that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kojima-san, for your interesting intervention and explaining how the economies of scale can play a big role in waste management, and also sharing the experience of Japan and how the country navigated through this issue in the 1960s and 70s, and the lesson learned from this experience. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Sirirat Bamrunsena, Director of Environment Subdivision of Department of Local Administration of Thailand. Mr. Bamrunsena has been responsible to roll out strategies and performance plan for the local governments in Thailand to implement environment and natural resource policy. Welcome, Mr. Bamrunsena. The floor is yours.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Let me check the PowerPoint. Okay, everyone. Firstly, I would like to say thank you to ERIA to give me a chance to be a speaker for this session today. Okay, within 20 minutes, I think I can share you briefly about the waste management in Thailand. First of all, this is the outline of my presentation about introduction, the roadmap on the waste management of Ministry of Interior, and what is the task of Ministry of Interior that make a waste management policy. And I would talk about the Clean Province Action Plan. I think it will be a good example for the other country to try. And the other, I will share you about the cluster. That is a new thing for Thailand to use to implement the waste management policy. And finally, there are some challenge for Thai people to do with the waste management. Okay. Firstly, I would like to share you briefly about the current situation about the waste management in Thailand. Nowadays, the population in Thailand, they are around 67 million people in Thailand. And every year, they produce the waste more than 27 million tons per year. It's a big waste we have to do. And moreover, there still be a remaining waste more than 4 million tons per year that we have to manage. That is a big problem for Thailand, for the Thai government. On of the waste, most of them we send to the landfill. In Thailand, there are around 2,700 landfill in Thailand. And unlucky, only nearly 600 landfill is still be sanitary. And the other, we manage in the wrong way. It means it's not open. The second problem is about the budget. You know, in Thailand, the government, the local government, they have to pay more than 20 million baht. It's around 600 million US per year to pay for the manpower, to pay for the logistics, to pay for the disposal system. And in the same time, we only collect money from the people. Only 2,800 baht per year. It's around 80 million baht per year. It means every year we lost 17 to 100 million baht is around 520 million baht per year. That's we lost money. And what we get back? We get back a big mountain of the waste. It's a landfill, very big mountain. I think it's not worth. We have to change the script for solving the problem. Next slide show about how we do about the waste. As I told you, 27 million tons per year of the waste. We, it's lucky more than 35, 30% of the waste we can reduce, we can reuse, we can take it back. I mean, because of the recycling system, and allow 60% we send to the landfill. Only 39% we send to the proper disposal landfill, but 26% is being sent to the improper disposal, the landfill and sanitary, and the remaining waste 4 million tons still be nothing. We have no the system minute. And this slide show about the waste disposal site in Thailand. 2007 site in Thailand, most of them is landfill. And you see that most of them is not appropriate site. That is a big problem. And we know that the landfill is really hard to do because there are lots of limited, such as the area. We cannot find a new area for do the landfill because the people in this area protest them. Okay, this is a problem stay for a long time ago, and the new government think about that, and it's a good news because the government do the something new since 2014. Yeah, 2014. We make a policy, a new policy about the waste management. We shift the waste management problem to be a national agenda. That is the first step. This slide show the step of the approval, the policy. There are three big things. It's a renew of the policy. First is about the setting the cluster of LAO. LAO is mean the local government in Thailand. We call it LAO. The cluster setting is mean the local government in the area come to join together to be a partner, and they think about the project. They collect the waste to the host. We call host the cluster. The local government send the waste to the host of cluster, and after that they think about the project, not landfill. The project that use a high technology, for example, the RDF factory or incinerator. It is on the concept waste to energy. And the second, we improve the legislator a lot. Third, this is a point of the new policy. We encouraging private sector because we think if you want to use a high technology to deal with the waste, you have to use a lot of budget. You have to use a lot of professional manpower. So we think private company should come to join with government, and we do together in the program PPP. From this policy, the government should my Ministry of Interior that I work with, they give the law to the province governor to manage the waste in the province. We have a clean province action plan. The clean province action plan is the plan that we work with everyone in the province, and we work with the line of the waste management upstream. Start with upstream, reduce, recycle, and the midstream is about the collecting, and downstream is about the disposal. We do all. In the upstream, we make a policy. We bring the policy to the community, to the people in the rural. There are many campaigns that we use in this action plan. For example, the 3RS campaign. I think you know that about the reduce, reuse, recycling. About the e-waste, the local government locate collecting center or collecting point, and the people through the e-waste to the bin, and the local government collect it and bring to the company. For the recycling, we use a community to come to join together and set the system we call the waste bank. It means every month the people bring the recycling waste such as a can, plastic bottle, the paper, come to the group and sell it to the buyer, and they get money. Some money they give to the community for sharing in the welfare activity. And we still have a group of people. It's like a volunteer people to work about the environment activity. The mainstream is about collecting. We improve the truck because we want we improve the truck. We set the schedule to collect the waste by type of the waste. For example, on a Monday we collect the general waste, or on the Tuesday we collect the plastic waste, something like that. And the last, downstream, is really important in Thailand now, because we think in the first section we say that the landfill is not sometimes, but not sometimes. I think in Thailand we have a lot of the landfill, and most of them is a problem. We try to change the system, change to waste energy, change to build a factory to make a RDF. So we set a cluster. Nowadays in Thailand there are 7,700 local government in Thailand. They come to join to be a cluster. Nowadays we have 262 cluster, and they've been classified to 3 stripes. Large stripe, it means you have a waste volume of the waste more than 500 tons per day, and a size medium 300 to 500 tons per day, and large size S small. It means you have a waste in the cluster lower than 300 tons per day. Sorry. And from now, 262 cluster, they come to join together and think about the project. How should we do about the waste in the cluster? They have many projects about that. If you see the PowerPoint, you can see that. Okay, most of them now still use a landfill system. But there are some new things in the cluster. We have 37 RDF factory manage this waste, and we have 35 cluster to a project incineration power plant. And the other 5 cluster is about biogas or recycling, something like that. So like 62 cluster, we use a project. In their projects, we promote the public-private partnership, EPP. It means we welcome the company come to be a partner with the government, the local government. Nowadays, we have 56 projects. Most of them is incinerator. And 56 projects still ongoing on the some of them is on the construction process. Most of them is still is on the approval. But in the future, next 3 or 5 years from now, in Thailand will be many incinerator power plant. We can reduce the number of landfill around 1,000 units. It means from now 2,700 landfill will be reduced to only 1,000 because we have the project allow we have the power plant to do with it. It is about, for example, is a type of the power generation. There are 2 systems that be used in Thailand, directly burning and RDF. And finally, it is challenges of Thailand. As you see, we have 262 clusters, but nowadays only 56 clusters that have a new project. But the rest of them still use a landfill. We need the company come to join us. We need the investor come to join us. And the second, I think that is a problem around the world. It's about the protester. Some people, I think we have to give them education or to how to make them can I say happy with this project about the power plant. I think it takes time. We have to come to the field, talk a lot with the people and share them what is the method to protection environment. We are thinking about the new system, how to make them happy with this project. Okay, it's first one is about waste management in Thailand. If you have any questions, you can give to the facilitator and I can answer you this question. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bamransena, for sharing this very interesting and successful experience from Thailand, which I think highlighted the role that a central government can play in promoting and encouraging effective waste management on local level. So finally, I would like to invite Dr. Vela Atienza, who is the Associate Professor at the University of the Philippines, Las Baños, where she teaches local governments. Yes, where she teaches local governance and development management courses for graduate students. As a researcher, she has been focusing on environmental governance in waste management in the Philippines and other Asian countries, also development management and governance and sustainable agriculture. She's also one of the contributors to the ERIA report on regional waste management presented by the first speaker, Mr. Kojima. So now I would like to invite Dr. Atienza. The floor is yours.
Okay, good up.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Sunasan. Good afternoon, everyone. Now I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so this is the title of my presentation, The Factors for Local Collaboration in Solid Waste Management, the Case of the Philippines. So this will be the outline of my presentation. I will give a brief background about the Philippines and relevant information on waste management, and also the rationale for local collaboration, the legal basis for local collaboration on waste management, the status of the local collaboration on solid waste management in the Philippines, and also I will give some examples or cases of existing local collaboration in the country. From their experiences, I will present some facilitating and hindering factors for collaboration. And the last part is recommendations on how to promote local collaboration or clustering. So this is a brief background about the Philippines. The country is composed of 7,100 islands with a land area of 300,000 square kilometers. So being an archipelagic in nature, it also affects how people view and manage waste. So we are divided also into 3 major regions, the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The increasing population, growth in the population and urbanization in the past decades have resulted to the increasing generation of waste. So for the waste generation per day, we have a 0.7 kilogram per day in highly urban city, 0.6 in urban city, and 0.3 kilogram per day in rural areas. So in this figure, you can see also that there's increasing trend in the population, and as well as the this purple one, the increasing trend in the urban population. And this is the projected waste generation tons per day. As we can see also in this table, there is an increasing trend in terms of waste generation throughout the years. In this, when we talk about the waste, developing appropriate waste management strategies or practices, it is also important to know what the composition of waste. So in the Philippines, generally, there's biodegradables is about 52%, recyclables is about 28%, and residual is 18%. And also another important factor is the sources of waste. So from this figure, we can see also that 57, more than half of the waste are coming from household, and the others are from commercial and institutional industrial. So what are the important, what can we get from this figure? So if only, that means like if only waste segregation can be really applied and promoted, these waste generators can learn how to manage waste well by implementing or adapting the waste segregation, and then these biodegradables can turn into compost, recyclables into recycled products. Then we can see that only small percentage will be left for the local government units to worry about. But it has been years. We have so many policies already since the past decades, but still waste management problem continues to be one of the pressing problems in the country. So one of, because especially for small and medium municipalities and also the rural municipalities, it's very hard to address waste management by themselves. Hence, we are promoting the local collaboration. So here are the 2 main reasons, among others, for local collaboration. First is the recognition of the limitation of the local government in terms of capacity and resources to provide more efficient and effective public service delivery. The second one is the recognition of the advantages of collaborative approaches. For example, when we do some collaboration, we can LGUs can pool their resources, sharing of information and expertise between and among local governments or through PPP. In the Philippines, what are the legal basis for local collaboration on solid waste and the delivery of public services? In the 1987 Constitution, it allows the local government to group themselves, consolidate or coordinate their efforts, services, and resources for purposes commonly beneficial to them in accordance to the law. For in RA 9091 or Republic Act, Philippines Republic Act 7160 or the Local Government Code of 1991, it also mandates the LGUs to consolidate or coordinate their efforts, services, and resources for purposes of jointly addressing common solid waste management problems or establishing common disposal facilities. It is also cited in the RA 9003 or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000. It also allows the clustering of LGUs for common disposal facilities. So just a brief background about RA 9003. This was enacted in 2001, so it's almost 2 decades, but still we can see later in the figures that there's still a weak compliance. So unlike previous environmental policies, it takes a whole that use piecemeal approach. It takes a holistic approach in addressing the problems on waste management. So it also created the National Solid Waste Management Commission under the Office of the President to focus on the implementation of the solid waste management. In the some of the salient features of the RA 9003 is also the primary roles of the local government units and the clustering, as I mentioned earlier, the clustering of LGUs. And based on the law also, it has there's also a mandatory closure of all dam sites, and they only allow the sanitary landfills as final disposal site, and also the creation of MRF in every barangay or cluster of barangay. As we can see that there is also a vision there for clustering among LGUs. So what are the status of intermunicipal cooperation on solid waste management in the Philippines? So I will share some information about the MRF, sanitary landfills, and what are the types of cooperation, and also some cases. From here, we can see in this table, for example, in 2015, we can see that the number of MRF is 9,335. But it also served about 12,607 barangays. Barangays, by the way, is the smallest political unit in the Philippines. So from here, you can see that there are also some form of clustering. Another important information in this table is that, as we can see here, 2015 at that time. So that means around 14 years since the implementation of the law, there is still a very big compliance. And here also in the sanitary landfill, we can see in 2018, there are 144 SLFs in the country, but it also serves or accessible to 345 LGU. So again, we can see that there are also some sort of clustering, but still there is also very weak compliance in terms of the establishment of SLF. So what are the types of cooperation or collaboration on solid waste management in the Philippines? Based on the reports from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and also interviews from other key informant officials, there are two common types, the intergovernment or inter-LGU partnership, and then the second one is the private enterprise utilized by LGUs. So both types of cooperation use the memorandum of agreement or contract as the legal instrument for entering this kind of partnership. So to give you an example, this is for the first type, the intermunicipal cooperation. This is the case of Sorala in South Cotabato. So this is a cluster SLF. So Surala is first class province with this population. And this cluster SLF was initiated from the provincial office of South Cotabato. And because they realized that, the financial involved for constructing SLF, especially for each LGU, is very high. So they recognize that the consolidated efforts among LGUs is the better and more feasible option. So that's why it is called Surala SLF, is because the host LGU is municipality of Surala. So the agreement is they have the MOA between the province of South Cotabato, represented by the governor, and the 6-member municipalities represented by the mayors. So here we can see, Kojima-san already mentioned the economies of scale. So here also we can confirm that truly, indeed, there is economies of scale. From here, we can see that if each these LGUs will construct their own sanitary landfill by itself, it will cost around from 7.5 million to 12 million each. But so total of them, they will cost around 54 million. And this is the required tons per day. But versus the cluster SLF, they only spend 15 million. And they can also accommodate the required tons per day. So we can see here that they can save huge amount of resources, which they can also use for others public service, in delivering other public services. For the privately managed SLF, so this is the common. All the collaboration, we have some other example of interlocal, but the most common among in the country is the privately managed SLF being utilized by LGUs. So these are just some examples. For example, the Navotas SLF. This is the first engineered SLF in Metro Manila. It is privately managed by Field Ecology Systems Corporation, and it serves to different various cities in the National Capital Region. So these are just another example, Rodriguez, Rizal, and the Pilotage SLF. So given from these experiences of these LGUs and also those privately managed, what are the facilitating factors or the driving forces for local collaboration? First is the stricter implementation of the laws, which mandate the LGUs to implement the law and they can also be sanctioned for non-compliance. In RE 9033, one of the provision there is any bona fide Filipino citizen can file a suit to any officials for not implementing the law. So in 2016, the National Solid Waste Commission filed a complaint to the Office of the Ombudsman for the 50 LGUs and more than 500 local government officials for failing to implement the law. So, but given the number 2 limitation of the LGUs to construct management facilities by themselves, they have it would be very difficult for them to do it by themselves. So one of the better option is for them to enter to this kind of collaboration. And another facilitating factors or driving forces is the inclusion of the local government LGU compliance to the law. For example, RA 9003 as one of the parameters to receive awards or recognition, such as the Seal of Good Local Governance and other programs of the national and local government. And the last is the political will of the leaders to enter into this kind of agreement. So those are the facilitating factors. So what are the hindering factors also? The term of local chief executive and the long process of establishing local collaboration. So in the Philippines, the term of mayor or the LCE is 3 years, maximum of 3 terms. So, and usually based on the experience, for example, of Surala, it takes many years, more than 3 years for establishing this kind of collaboration. So it also discourages other local executive to enter to this kind of agreement. Another is the lack of political will and initiatives of the local government officials, which could be the lack of social, because due to lack of social acceptance or the resistance from the community. For example, the not in my backyard syndrome. So because in Philippines, it is a democratic country, so the vote of the community is very important. So without the social acceptance, if you started to implement such project without social acceptance, it could be some kind of political suicide for them. So those are the hindering factors. Later, at the last part, I will discuss how to reduce the hindering factors and how to strengthen the facilitating factors. But before that, these are the possible forms of local collaboration and clustering. The inter-LGU collaboration or clustering based on geographical location. So maybe nearby communities can collaborate among themselves. And then public-private partnership. It has been we can see the benefits of PPP in developing Asia, which reduce the risk and responsibilities of the state, lowered fiscal costs, and widened access to quality public services. So the local government doesn't need to carry the burden alone. There are other private private sector who can help, and also collaborative partnership with other stakeholders. One of the common problems is the lack of technical resources. So the academe, the research institutions can provide this kind of training, and also with other NGOs. There are so many NGOs in the Philippines who can also provide this kind of services. So what we only need is how to strengthen this kind of collaboration among LGUs and also other sectors. So what are the possible avenues for local collaboration? Maybe it could be in the establishment of sanitary landfill, waste to energy facility, and other innovative projects and activities. So again, how to reduce how to reduce this hindering factors and strengthen the facilitating factors. So these are the proposed recommendation on how to promote local collaboration is to strengthen the promotion of local collaboration through policy support, including the provision of both technical and financial resources from the national and provincial government. In the case of Surala, it's the provincial government who provide both the financial support and also technical support. For example, in accessing road from the national highway to the SLF site, and other securing permits and other kind of support. Another is conduct information, education, communication campaign to ensure the social acceptance. Maybe we can learn from the experience of Thailand, like from NIMBY, not in my backyard syndrome, to PINB, or please in my backyard. So we just need to let the community or the to understand the benefits of this kind of collaboration. And of course, to strengthen the commitment of the local government units to enter to this kind of agreement, and conduct of field visits or virtual visits, because we have pandemic. Until now, we are in the still in community quarantine in the Philippines. So maybe we can do some virtual visits to learn from the actual and proven experiences of other LGUs, and also partnership with other sectors. And the last one is the conduct of inter-LGU agency, fora, and multi-stakeholder consultations to provide avenue for the different sectors to discuss the various local, regional concerns and issues, and provide practical solutions, and to understand the relevance of inter-local collaboration or clustering. In the project with ERIA, we have started this webinar or as a workshop among local government units. And just last month, October 23, the League of Cities of the Philippines conducted also a webinar on promoting interlocal collaboration in the Manila Bay Master Plan. So I'm also one of the speakers there, and it was attended by more than about 200 participants coming from 33 cities and 59 municipalities. So there's also a positive feedback among the participants. So those kind of opportunities, activities can be a good start. So I think that's all. So thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very
So I will
much.
start to share.
Thank you very much, Dr. Atienza, for sharing this presentation on intermunicipal cooperation on solid waste management from the Philippines. And I think it must have been very inspiring for the participant from the audience as well. Now I would like to proceed with the Q&A session, and I wonder if we have received any questions from the chat box. If that is not the case, I would like to invite the participants to raise your hand and ask the question maybe directly to the speakers, if you are not too shy. We still have some time. And if you can also clarify whether you want to ask the question to the first speaker, Mr. Kojima, or the second speaker, Mr. Bamurun Sena, or the third speaker, Dr. Atienza. Okay. In which case, maybe I will ask one question to Mr. Bamurun Sena. I think as a person from the central government, I think what was the key message that you wanted to convey to your colleagues from local government to sort of adhere to what you would like to sort of convey as a message?
Thank you for this question. I think in Thailand, first of all, the key of the success, I think, is about the leader who make a policy. In Thailand, we give the leader to the province governor. See, in Thailand, we have many province, and in the system, the province governor is like a number one of the government representative in the area. So if we give them to be a leader, he can convince people. Every people. The people who live the school, students, monk, sometimes monk, and the other government agency come to join together and make a plan. I think the leadership is very important. And the second is about the community. You should give importance to the community, the people in the rural area. Give them a chance to share experience, and you can, adjust the policy up to the area, because some area have a different context. The province governor, you should keep them to revise the policy. Leader and community, people in community is really important.
Thank you very much. So a strong leadership and a good communication is key to get the message across, it seems. So we have a participant who would like to ask a question. Maggie Lee has raised her hand. So if the organizer can unmute her so she can address the question directly.
Thank you for all the great presentations. My question was actually just reiterated by the moderator, Ayako. So it was more like, what is it in one sentence? That would be a great message to everyone, because all the presentations are very elaborate and are country specific, most of them. And we would want to actually focus more on maybe a takeaway from each of the speakers. And Kun Siridat has already mentioned his, and that would be a really good quote to actually keep in mind. Just asking the other two speakers, what would be the one takeaway? Thank you.
So maybe I would like to invite Mr. Kojima first, and then proceed with Dr. Atienza. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. My message is maybe the first part. I mean, to reduce the marine litters, we should expand the waste management services to rural and middle and small cities. And one of the way is intermunicipal cooperation because capacity is limited in each municipality. So you should have a good scheme to collaborate uh, among the municipalities. That is my message.
Dr. Atienza?
Okay. So my message is based on my presentation. Governance is very important in addressing waste management. So in the Philippines, as I mentioned earlier, the main implementers is the local government units. So given their limitation and with the big responsibilities entrusted to them, they cannot do it by themselves alone. So due to lack of, as I mentioned also, the lack of resources in terms of financial, technical resources. And this is especially true for small and medium or communities or the local government units, which have a very small resources. Therefore, there is a positive advantages or benefits of promoting interlocal collaboration. It could be between and among LGUs or through PPP or other sectors. But how to do this? There should really have to strengthen the support from the national or provincial provincial units. So and I also mentioned that at least we have recent developments, like as I mentioned, the League of Cities and Municipalities in the Philippines. We have started. I'm part of that group. We have already started this on how to provide avenues for the different LGUs and cities and municipalities in the Philippines on how to promote this interlocal collaboration. So I hope that it will really push through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have other questions? Please go ahead if we still have a little bit of time. But unless that's the case,
Not question.
yes, go ahead, please.
Can not question, just sharing experience. I agree with Miss Atinsa from Philippines that you mentioned that on the first PowerPoint is about the type of the waste. You mentioned that almost 60% of the waste is a bio or organic waste, right? Food waste, okay, something we can say food waste. If we can reduce it means you save a lot the waste. Yeah, we have a same problem in Thailand too. So because we consider that in 2017 years, we did a campaign we call compost bin. I will show you some pictures, something like that. Compost bin. I mean, we promote in the rural area. We want the people who live in the rural area make a compost bin. It's really easy. You just dig the land and put the bin without you have to cut the bottle and put it in the land, and then when you have a food waste, not through the bin, just through the compost bin in the household, and then let it allow one month. The food waste confirmed to the compost. You can use it for in the farm for plants, something like that. And I think that is very successful in Thailand now. I can claim every household in the rural area, they have a compost bin. But the problem is about the people who live in the city. This is a big problem. We are looking for the solution, because people live in the building, live in the condominium. They don't have a area for put the compost bin. If in the other country you have the solution about that, you can share me and we can apply for Thailand. And the second, I think we all agree that now today we have to promote the cluster system and waste to energy, and welcome the private company come to join in the PPP program. I think we think the same, and I agree with that in this point too.
Thank you very much. I think, yes, we do not have a one-size-fits-all solution to even urban area to compare to the rural area. And I think it's the case for countries, across Asia as well. I think it's not one solution for all the countries, but we can also share the experience and learn from each other's lesson learned, I suppose. So with that note, thank you very much for that comment. Oh yes, I think there's one question coming in. Wonderful. So the question is, I'm not sure waste segregation at the source was mentioned in any of the presentation. But I would like to know how many of the speakers is applying separation of waste at source and how efficient it is in recycling. So I think it overlaps a little bit with what was mentioned. But would anyone want to reply back on the question about separation at source?
Okay, maybe
Okay.
I can.
Move first, okay.
Okay, yeah, in the Philippines, as mentioned also in the RA 9003, it is also promoting the waste segregation at source. So, but the problem is, as mentioned, it's already, it was came into force in 2001. So it's already almost 2 decades, but still the compliance rate is about 30 to 40%. So we can see also that there is a law, but again, how to implement is a big challenge, remains a challenge to many local government units. So it helps also, yeah, but the problem, I want to address also the comment by Mr. Siri. Yeah, we also have this composting, actually we are trying to apply, but the common problems is, I also visited some LGUs, they have this compost, they have the already, but the problem is how to the marketing of this. So so it without the sustainable buyers for this, it discouraged the local government or the community to do this. Hence again, the importance of local collaboration on how the local government can connect to the different, for example, how to, who are the possible buyers of this, if they can be connected to the farmers, and then those who have also figures, then have, so if they have a very important role, the LGUs. So that's why it's very important if we can really promote this interlocal collaboration or with LGUs or other sectors. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Mr. Kojima would like to intervene about the separation at source question, or
Yeah, yeah, in Japan or in many countries in Asia, there are some source separation program. Uh, but some of the Southeast Asian countries, how to say, the recyclable waste can be sold. So there are so many waste pickers and also some junk shops, they can buy the recyclable waste, or waste bank in Indonesia can buy recyclable waste. So there are market-based collection system also. Maybe Mr. Sidirat can explain more about such kind of the segregation and the market-based collection.
Can I give more information? Okay, I has mentioned about the organic waste, or right that for the separation program in Thailand. Okay, the organic waste or food waste, we use a campaign compost bin, and for the recycling waste, such as a bottle, paper, something like that, we use a campaign a waste bank, a community to keep the bottle, the paper together and finding a buyer. It look like successful, but now we have a big problem. It's about the price. The price of the paper, the price of the bottle. This is a big problem. It will be, I think it will be a big problem, because in the system of the economy, I just know many companies in Thailand import the recycling waste from the other country, because the cost is really cheaper than the cost in Thailand. That is a big problem now. I think many countries know about this. Some country deliver the recycling waste to the other country. I think it's a big problem about international problem. So we are looking for the solving this problem too, about the recycling campaign. And the other about the e-waste. E-waste is not a problem. In the past, people don't know the e-waste have to use a new system to disposal. You can throw new waste to the landfill. You have sent to the company. So nowadays we have a campaign, and people know that we have a specific collecting bin for the e-waste, and we set the local government do this job. The e-waste is still be okay now in Thailand. Yes, it's about separate program in Thailand.
Ayako, you are muted.
Sorry. We are approaching the end of our session, but if there is any burning question, maybe we can have a very last question. I see it on the chat box. Okay, Joanne is asking, may I ask if there is a national policy in Thailand and Japan promoting and requiring intermunicipal cooperation? So that would be the question. Maybe Mr. Kojima and Mr. Bamurnsena, you can answer that quickly.
Yeah, we have some how say the laws which allow the formulation of the intermunicipal cooperation, and yeah, there are some kind of the incentive to formulate such kind of a system.
Thank you. Mr. Bamurnsena?
Okay, in Thailand, we promote the cluster, as I show in the PowerPoint. Why the local government want to join to be cluster? Because if you come to join the cluster, you save cost a lot in waste management. For example, if you have a landfill in Thailand, you have to pay. Can I transfer to dollar? Let me. Okay. If you have a landfill, you have to pay around $11 per ton. For example, per ton. But if you come to join the cluster, you just pay maybe $5 or $6 per ton. That's why the local government want to join the cluster, because if you come to join the cluster, they use a new technology, RDF or the incinerator, that the government, but this project had to be approved by the central government. And the central government, I am one of the committee of the central government who approved the project. We are very about the price, about the cost that the local government have to pay when they deliver waste to the cluster. So I think this is a good choice for the local government come to join the cluster. This is one of the examples.
Thank you very much. Thank you all of you for the question as well. The end of this side event is approaching. So I would like to thank all three speakers for their interesting and inspiring presentation, sharing your experience with us. And I would like to also thank the organizers and the audience for your participation and engagement. So thank you very much. And stay well. So bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ayako, for moderating this session. And thank you all for attending Sea of Solutions 2020, as well as the site event today. What you see in front of your screen are the upcoming sessions. Please go ahead and join them by going to this URL that I'm typing now into the chat to access all the sessions. You can click program and then select the session that you'd like to join. Within the community, you're also able to explore exhibitions as well as chat or set up meetings with other attendees. And we're excited to invite you to contribute to showcasing your voices for solutions to plastic pollution. We're seeking a simple but powerful pledge, a commitment or statement to less plastic wasted from the perspective of your work. You can submit your pledge by going to the Hubilo community via the link in the chat and clicking pledges. Thank you once again for your participation and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.